Good day. This is Andy, and this is going to be episode 2 of our Print Cost Estimator app, as you can see here on the left. Today we're just going to do some organization, and we're going to convert this app over to Android X. And fortunately, Android Studio has a nice, easy way to do that. If we go into in Refactor, and we can say migrate to Android X. We'll just click that, and it'll go through. Did I accidentally? I probably didn't click. All right, there we go. Here we go. I'm not going to back it up as a zip. You should. I've written this code probably 4 times now, so I have backups everywhere. If you see me looking over to the right, I'm actually using my laptop to do a lot of the future coding stuff. So I'm just going to be referencing a lot of stuff. Okay, so all we're going to do here is do refactor, and it's going to change a lot of the classes over here. So basically, Android X is going to be, it's a set of Jetpack that has basically the support libraries. They're renamed and they're updated more frequently. So you don't really have to do this, but since this is a Jetpack kind of tutorial, we're going to do this now, and that'll help us maintain the Android X stuff in the future. Before I go start adding new classes and new everything. So you can see in here, we have Android X app compat activity. So Android X has changed the nomenclature on a lot of stuff. You really don't need to know that, as long as you automatically import it. It'll automatically import the Android X version of fragments and stuff like that. And so first thing I'm going to do is let's change our recycler view layout. We're not just going to have our recycler view in here. All right, we're going to actually put this in a parent. We're going to put in a coordinator layout. So if you start typing, it automatically put it in, which is nice. We're going to cut this part. We need to put it in here. Everything needs a layout width and a layout height. All right. Oh, that's right. I'm on the wrong keyboard. I keep doing that. I am so sorry. So I'm struggling with my keyboard. I have one that I think the batteries are dying, so I will be switching to this one, and I'll probably replace those batteries soon because I do like the other keyboard, but it is kind of noisy. All right, so we have our recycler view. Let's add some, because I have it in my other code, some scroll bars. We'll do vertical scroll bars. All right, and then all of these views are going to go into another activity to, or lead to another activity to create a new item that we're going to put into our databases. So we need a button to get there. So let's put in a fab, or a floating action button. So the one that we want is the first one. And we'll do wrap content. All right. Obviously, that's not where we want it, but that's not a problem. Let's clean this up a little bit. We'll give this one a name of, I just have it as fab. Okay. So Android, or wow. I haven't had enough of my coffee. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to move it down to the bottom right, or I mean, if you do a right to left language, you probably want to put it on the left, but in English, bottom to the right, bottom right should be pretty good. So we're going to give it layout gravity. We're going to do bottom, and if we do end, it'll automatically put it on the right hand side on devices with right to left languages. So all right, and all right, we're going to do layout margin, and 16 dp should be fine. So that looks good. All right, but we don't have an actual icon in here, so let's create something. We'll do new. We'll do a vector asset, and that reminds me, I'm gonna have to change something in our build.gradle file in just a second. But let's go to clip art. We'll change the icon to, we can search for add, and we'll just do this icon right here. That looks good, and we'll finish. So now we've created a drawable with icy add black. Okay, so then in our fab, change the source. And boom, right there. But we don't really want that to be black, so let's see, can I do tint? Android color white. Hey, there we go, that worked. Alrighty, so then we're using a vector asset. Let's just make sure in our we have vector assets added and pulling it up. And it actually, that might be automatic now, unless it's in. You know what? It might just automatically work now with Android X, because I am not seeing. Oh, here we go. Vector drawables. All right. So we put it in here. Vector drawables dot use supports library, and we're going to set that to true, and then we can use our vector drawables in our app. Okay, so that's nice and set up. Let's run it real quick, and now we should be able to see in our emulator our little fab button on the first three icons, or first three fragments on the bottom. And I like to test frequently. I probably won't test all that much in here because like I said, I've written this code a bunch of times already. It's good practice to do, because if you create an issue, it's a lot easier to find it. If something was working like 5 minutes ago and it's not working now, or you get a crash, you know, going through that logcat and messing around with what you recently did, maybe do some Google searches as to what the error code means. That'll help you do that. So this is really what I wanted to test also, was to see if that fab button was actually going to be below, and I guess I did not do our coordinator layout on here. So the activity, yeah, we need to go into here, and this frame layout is too low. We need to move it up. So I'm pulling up. So that's why it's not actually set to it, it's just going to show that it is on here, but not actually do it. So, real easy. Layout margin top. Right. Oh wait, no, that's not it. Oops. App constraint. Oh, here we go. Constraint to top of. All right. Bottom to bottom of parents. Constraints. Left to left of parent. Right to right of parent. Okay, those are rights. On my code, it actually just, that's weird. Okay, we can fix this though. It's not a big problem. These automatically should be there because we're doing match parent on these. So this should have worked. The layout constraint bottom to top of navigation. So I'm really not sure why that's not working. Anyways, I'm gonna pause this video. I'm gonna work on figuring out why our fab button is on the bottom here and not above it. So okay, so I figured out the issue that I was having with the constraint layout, and the reason is that if you put a height of match parent, it overrides whatever you put in for the constraint layout. So I apologize, I haven't used constraint layout a whole lot, so getting used to it. So what we're going to do is we'll change the frame layout to 0 dp on each one, and what we're going to do is then use the constraint layouts to actually set the top, left, right, and bottom. So the left is to the left of the parent, the right to the right of the parent, top to the top of the parent, and the bottom to the top of the navigation view, and that produces this beautiful layout right here. So this is exactly what we wanted. The one thing, I don't know if you noticed, but if we close this out and then relaunch it, where is it? So print costs. Our first view doesn't actually show up. So we can fix that real easily with a line of code in our activity that in our onCreate, we'll just put in here supports fragment manager dot begin transaction dot replace, and we'll do r.id dot frame, our content frame, and we'll do, the first one is going to be our quote list fragments dot commit. All right, so now what this does is on the first time the app runs, this frame layout isn't actually set until you actually select the items on the bottom. And what we'll do is we'll default, when the activity is created, we'll switch it to the quote list fragment now. So I'm going to go in, let's close this out. Close that out. And let's run it. Beautiful. See, now our quotes list is going to populate first now, and everything else works as intended. All right, so let's set up our new packages that we're going to need over here. Well, we have our fragments. Well, we're going to need a few new activities, so let's add those now while we can. We're going to have a new quote activity. We're going to need a new printer activity. We'll need a new material activity. All right, so let's add our new packages as well. I know I said I was going to add packages. We'll do that now. So for room, there's a few different files that we're going to need for our database and management. We're going to need, what do I do? So the three lists that we have in the front are going to need their adapters. So we'll add a package for adapters. We'll need a new package. We'll call this one DAOS, or DAOS. This is going to be a room component, and I'll explain them when I put them in. We're going to have a database package. I mean, technically, I guess we can move the DAO and everything into the database package, because that's only going to have one file in it. That's okay. Doesn't matter. It's all how you decide to organize your own app. We're going to need models. So we'll need a model for material. We'll need a model for quote. We'll need a model for printer. I'm going to start with materials and printers, and then from there, since a quote has a lot more information and also includes a printer and a material selection, we have to do the printer and material items first. You can do them in any order, those two, before you do the quote one. So we'll probably pick printers because I think it's got less information, and then do materials, which has got a little bit more information and a calculation in there, and then quote, which has a lot more calculation and a lot more information. We'll finish up with quotes. Each item that has a table in the database is going to need a repository. Oops, that's refactors because it's multiple. Rename. And the last one we're going to need is view models. All right, so I think we should probably start with models. We're going to add, let's add a Kotlin file for, we'll call this one printer, I believe it's a class. These are still class. Let's close all this other stuff because we're not going to need it for a while. So we need printer, we'll need material, and we will need a quote. All right, same with here. We need a printer view model. Sorry, there's one that's an interface. I think those are the DAOs or the interfaces. Yeah. So I keep referencing to make sure I don't screw up the file type. Right. Printer view model. Material repository. And there's not a whole lot of code that goes into the repository. That's actually, I think, probably going to be the smallest file in all of these. All right, and we got our fragments. We need our DAOs. These are the interfaces. So printer DAO. Yeah, I'd like to expand them to make sure, see which ones I've already added, since there's 3 of each. Okay. Material DAO and quote DAO. Alrighty, and then database. This is actually just going to have one class file on here, and this is Print Cost Estimator database. All right. So we have most of the file. We'll have the adapters that we'll build later, since we can't populate data onto the list for a while. I think to show that we can do something different, let's go in here. We need to add our activities that we created. So we need new. We'll have to. Oh, you know what? They're not of type activity. That's why this isn't. They're not doing anything on here. So Of course, I picked the wrong file type for that. So in here, we'll do this one first. New material active, and it's going to be of app compactivity. So want to make sure we picked the right on create. So we'll just copy this. All right, and then now if we go into our manifest, we should be able to add them. See, they populate now. So we need new material activity. I don't need anything else, just to launch them. New printer activity. And new quote activity. All right, so let's go into our fragments now, and we'll code up the fabs, and then I think we'll test it, and then we'll call this a video. So we'll call the root view, or sorry, val root view equals, and we'll copy this. Need to return root view. All right. So if we type in just the ID now that we've switched over to Android X, I believe, it's going to automatically pull up items from our XML file. So fab, I don't have to do like root view.fab equals. I could just do fab, and I don't need to do any kind of initializer. Right now I'm just gonna do the set on click listener, and we'll pick this one. All right, and we want to start a new activity. So val intent. Actually, we don't even need this. Start activity new intent. And we'll just pull out the activity from get activity, and then from here we need a new, let's see, we're in what materials? So new material activity class Java. And let's test this before I go and copy the code into the other fragments. All right, so we need to go to materials. So that's, did we crash? I think we crashed. Yeah, we crashed. I think so. We do need, sorry. So root view dot fab. Alt enter. Okay. That probably will work. I think that'll work. Let's try this now. All right. Hey, that worked. All right. So now I'm just going to copy, actually, we'll copy this entire method. And we'll go into here and paste it in. All we need to do is change these to their appropriate activities. Quote activity. We can get rid of that one. And last one we have is printer. All right, and we need to change this to printer activity. All right, so I'm gonna do one last test, and we'll call this a video. And then in the next one, we'll start setting up our database. And it's gonna take a little bit of explanation, so I apologize if that one's gonna be a long video. Okay, that one works. Why is our quote one not working? Oh, I put it in a general fragment. That's why. All right, so copy this. We'll get rid of. I need to get rid of this, or else if I click on that fragment, it'll probably crash. So this is going to be general fragment. All right, we'll leave that as this, and then see, this is why you test frequently. All right, so we'll paste it in here, and that should be good to go. So now if I click it, we'll test all 3 of the list fragments to make sure that they go somewhere. Actually, they're all blank. All right, that worked. We already tested this one, so this one should work. And that one works. And if you wanted to see if those are the actual activities you're launching are actually the right ones, we can add in here Android label, and we can do new material, and same here. New printer. New quote. So this will help us make sure that we're on the right activity by changing the action bar to the appropriate item. So if I click here, see, we have new quotes. Go to new printer, okay, and new material. Hey, there we go. Now it's starting to look a little bit like what we want it to look like. And hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think. All right, thank you.